Thank you, Jose, for starting the recording. Good morning, Jody. Karen, good morning. I'm going to double check my email to make sure nobody's having problems logging in. So far, I don't have any email for people. Yay, Monica! Happy Friday to you too. I'm going to go over the agenda. We have wonderful things to celebrate. So introduction and celebration is first. We're going to go over the allocation cheat sheet, help materials, talk about the parent funding stream, checking budget info, talk about the wait list, common errors, demo of the GAE process, the invoice, and then, but make sure to write down your questions or type in the chat window and we'll answer the questions at the end. So this whole call is based on the race to the top general encumbrance and what the process is going forward, as well as to celebrate all the hard work that everybody's put in. Does that agenda sound okay with everyone? Okay, Nicole said yes. Monica, yes. Kelly says sounds good. Woohoo! All right, well, I'm excited. Do we have someone from OEC to do our introduction?
Hello everyone, this is Monica Carr from the Office of Early Childhood. I will start by introducing myself. I think we're still waiting on Kelly.
Okay.
Did you want to wait another minute, Rick? Or?
Well, why don't you, you know, you can talk, and it's better for you to talk than me to talk right now. So
okay,
whatever, it's your floor.
Okay, just sounds good. I'm going to make sure Kelly can log in. But anyway, thanks. We have 43 callers on right now. Thanks everyone for joining us, and thank you guys so much for being patient during this whole GAE process. We know it's been a 3-month wait at least.
Are you still there?
I'm still here. We also have
okay.
Michelle on the line from OEC, and then I think Karen and Bowden's with us too.
We got the big guns.
But actually, Rick, if you go to your first or your second slide, that overview is pretty much what we're going to discuss today.
This slide?
Yeah. So if you want me to just go ahead with the cheat sheet to for the sake of everyone's time, because I think people will have questions. And if you can you share my screen so I can pull up the whole sheet?
I sure can. This is just sort of an introduction.
Yeah.
I have to find your name though, because there's so many people on the call, which is cool. Okay, it should be coming over to you now.
Got it. Can you see my screen?
I can.
Okay, great. So I will be going over the Race to the Top QI awards for each program. This cheat sheet hopefully looks familiar to you if you were at State TA Day on January 20th, because we did go over it. This information is not new. It's actually the same formula we put in place in July 1st, 2016. This is just a different format. Like we said, it's a cheat sheet because we thought the old sheet was a little bit confusing. What is new is that moving forward and all the waitlisted programs that have been approved are going off of scenario 1. What that means is that if a program receives ITQA or SRQIP or CCAP, that will not matter. They will go off of this formula. So what this sheet means is that, for an example, if you're a family child care home, you earn your level 2, you can get up to $500 worth of coaching and associated cost and $600 in QI with a maximum award of $1,100. An example for a center is that if you're a center, you earn your level 3 through 5, you have 2 classrooms, you have $900 coaching dollars, and you can use those $900 for coaching or QI. I think the most important thing about this document is at the end, which are all these little stars at the end, but since I think most of you have seen this document, I just want to remind you to be aware of the dates. So the last date for programs to be eligible to apply for Race to the Top is May 1st, 2017, and they must spend those funds by June 30th, 2017. And this is contingent on available funds.
Can you repeat that?
Yes. So the last day that programs will be eligible to apply for Race to the Top is May 1st, 2017, and that's right here. And then those funds need to be spent by June 30th, 2017. And that is contingent on available funds. So if we spend all the GAE funds by tomorrow, then these dates would no longer make sense. But we will show you, or Rick will show you here in a few minutes, that that is not the case. We still have GAE funds. And this, we will be sending this document out after the webinar, so everyone will have a chance to print this off again. And that's all for me.
We'll be sending all the documents. There's going to be multiple documents, so the whole, actually there'll be a link where all the documents are, as well as the recording of the webinar. Do you want me to take it back now, Monica?
Yeah, and I do actually want to just mention one more thing. We did have a lot of people work on this cheat sheet, and Stacy Petty from Rocky Mountain was actually the first person that took a stab at it. So thank you, Stacy.
Yeah, let's everybody give Stacy a virtual applause. Okay.
And screen's yours, Rick.
Okay. All right. I don't want to underestimate the evaluation. I mean, the celebration that we need to do. It really was a lot of work. Bill and Sharon put a tremendous amount of work to get this ready, as well as the 4 QRS coordinators. It really was a team effort, so I really want to thank everybody that's put work in as well. Okay, so I'm on what the help materials. All the information will be at the support site. So essentially you go to the support site. Actually, we had a call yesterday. They couldn't see anything, and it's because they weren't logged in as their user. So you have to be logged in to come down to the support site. So on the main page, you go to the right, sort of 2/3 of the way down to get to the call, and I'll show you how to get in. So I went to the support site, but my problem is that I'm an agent. So I'm going to go to the customer portal. So here's what it looks like on your screen. And then on the right are the forums where the phone call is. So you scroll down, and you can see the scroll bar going down. And see, actually it's about halfway. And then the call that we're on today is the Friday support call. It's going to have the PowerPoint presentation, the cheat sheet that Monica just went over. There's going to be a reference guide, and then the template for the coaching. So at the bottom will be all these documents. Okay, so again, this is just saying the same thing, that the health documents are at the bottom of the call. Okay, one of the cool things is that Bill has implemented this parent funding stream in order to make the Race to the Top work. And there's just sort of a one page that we can all go in. Instead of having like weekly updates and all that, you can see up to the second how much money is available, as well as how much is all the councils. So there's a bucket for the state. It starts at $663,000. We're actually at, when I made this screen, we had $391,990.85 left for you guys to spend, and in all of your buckets together, there's $271,000. So we did over $100,000 yesterday. You all should have been getting lots of cool emails saying that the folks are off the wait list. So I'm going to go in and show you, whenever you want to check this, again, essentially go into the More Arrow, Parent Funding Stream, and Race to the Top QI7. So.
Hi, it's Kelly.
Kelly, I'm just going to finish one thought, and then I'm going to put it back to you, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so I'm logging into Sugar. Maybe I should have had, Kelly, do you want to say anything while it's loading?
Okay, I just wanted to thank everybody for their patience with the GAE and the GAE process. I think that we started out for the GAE account with this great idea that we wanted to maintain the funding that we had received from the federal government that we hadn't sent down yet. And it's like when you start out on a hiking trail and it is a glorious hike and it all makes sense and you're on the trail and then all of a sudden you go into a meadow and you can't find the trail again. That's been a little bit like the GAE process. Thankfully, we've had an exceptionally strong partnership with ECLA, with the Office of Early Childhood, with all the councils and all the coaches and QI navigators and providers and all the people just working hard to make this system work. We've had a lot of technical challenges. We've done a lot of testing, and I'm just really proud of the team that's been working on this account, and I'm really proud of everybody and their patience as we work through this process. We have a lot planned for today, so we would like to ask that, and this may have already been said, but we would like to ask that everybody holds their questions, and if you have questions, write them down. We may answer them throughout the presentation today, and if they don't get answered through the presentation, then please remember to ask them at the end. So, so I just wanted to take a moment and again say thank you to everybody for their strong partnership, their expertise, their patience, everything everybody brought to this process. The GAE is now open and the waitlisted sites have been approved. Woohoo! And we look forward to moving this process along. So thank you, everybody. And now it's time to get into the nuts and bolts of the GAE.
Thank you, Kelly, for that great introduction. And thanks, Monica, too, for going over the cheat sheet. And I went over the help materials, and I was just about to show you sort of this is like a top bird's eye view of the whole thing that Bill created for us as well as the OEC. So in order to get in there, you're in Sugar, and you'll need to hit the More arrow and go to Parent Funding Stream. Okay, and if you need to, you can search on RTT, but on my list, it's right here at the top. Okay, here is the screen I was showing about. We're starting with $663,000. Right now, as of this second, we have spent $271,000 and $9.15. Actually, this is allocated. It's not really spent, but it's in all the council's pots and essentially in the provider's pots to spend. So our goal is to get rid of this 663. So spend down the 663, and we'll see the funds go up here and down over in this funds available to allocate. So we have about $400,000 that you all need to get going, so your providers, we can get this money into the provider's hands. So again, that was on your more arrow. You choose parent funding stream, and then you can see up to the second how much money is left. And remember that this is, you know, it's sort of a pot of money for everybody. And so it's a first come, first serve. So you do want to get your providers applying for this money. Okay. All right. So one of the things that I and Sharon have been working on with all the budget folks in your councils is to try to make sure that the budget information is correct. And it's been a challenge because the budgets are different for the 31 councils. And so we just, you know, I've sent out emails to double check, but I still want you guys to, you know, double, triple check, because this is really driving how much money you have when money comes out of the GAE versus out of what you have left from the October 31st budget. So there's tabs that you want to check as your budget summary tab. So you go into the funding stream. Sharon, do you mind if I use DECC's funding stream?
No, you're welcome to.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So
although my funding stream doesn't have any GAE amounts on it, so
right.
That might not be.
It's going to start with 0, whereas a lot of the others have. We already spent money yesterday, so.
You might want to use Bill's test site to demonstrate.
Did Bill update it this morning?
I have not. What do you need updated?
Okay. Yeah, because it didn't have as much information as yours did, so I'm going to go ahead and go into Denver's right now. Is that okay?
Of course. There just won't be any special allocations on ours.
Right. Okay, so I am going to, it's a little bit slow, but going to the race to the top for DECC for this year. And on the budget summary, see right now the total special allocation that Sharon was talking about is 0, whereas a lot of the councils, actually most of them, we did approved wait lists, so this is going to be, this will have money in it. But the important thing on this tab is this internal coaching budget setting. And again, we tried to communicate with all the councils to see what happens. And you can change this. There's only 2 options: internal coaching from operating budget, internal coaching request funds through GAE. So this one means that you essentially have funds paid for from your operating budget, and that in your October 31st you included all the amounts for the whole year through June 30th. Whereas this one is saying that, okay, you've already maxed out on your internal coaching, and now new requisitions will be if you have any balance. If you don't have any balance left, it's going to be paid for through the GAE. You're going to cancel that. So just make sure that it's the correct setting. Okay, and then the next tab that you check is the QI dollars tab. It is locked down, and the OEC has asked us to do this just because we're taking money out of their $663,000, and if we do anything wrong, we can mess up the whole state. So we want to make sure that that it's really hard for us all to make a mistake, and that's including me and Sharon. Bill is the only one that can make these changes. So I have to submit a ticket to Bill. Sharon has to submit a ticket to Bill if any of the councils have to change. So, but you do need to double check that the information is right. So I'm going to go back in. Okay, so on the QI dollars detail, these were the dollars from the October 31st budget. So under direct QI budget. And here's where you'll see for QI materials that, or QI dollars, here's where you'll see that the special allocation will go up. So each waitlisted application there where you need money, it will take from the special allocation. And that's when your QI dollars remaining to be assigned is 0 or less than the amount of your requisition. So if it's like $599 and the requisition is $600, it will go to the special allocation. So it looks at QI dollars remaining to be assigned as well as the pooled dollars remaining. So both of those, it comes here first and then it goes to the QI, the pooled dollars remaining, and if there's any amounts there, it takes that first, and that's why this number is so critical that it's correct from the October 31st. Okay, when you forfeit, like let's say you have $10 left and you forfeit the remaining balance, it does go into the pooled dollars, and it will not take anything out, small amount. So you could, like if you go $10 under on one and $10 over, you still can use your pooled dollars like you have in the past to make up for those. But if it's like $601 that ends up in the pooled, it will take the money out of the pooled. Stacy asked, can we send out the PowerPoint? Yes, we're going to send out the PowerPoint and everything else that goes with it at the end of the call. Okay. Okay, so and also you need to check your internal coaching detail tab. Verify that the internal coaching hours, that's really what's driving how many hours you have and whether items come out of the GAE. You do put your internal coaching dollar budget there, and new applications will come out of the pooled internal coaching hours. And while I'm bringing this up, when this number is 0, the money will come out of the GAE except when, and I'm going to have some people try to put, if they know from the previous slide, when money will not come out of the GAE, no matter what your pooled internal coaching hours are. So see if somebody comes up with the right answer. If not, I'll repeat what I said. Okay, so here again is where the projected internal coaching hours is and the internal coaching budget. So the important thing is to input the number of hours that your internal coaches can do. So right now there's 30 or 40 hours left in this pool, so we'll take from the pool first, but once the 40 hours comes out, then this will start taking from the GAE except when. And I don't have any answers yet. I'm going to pause to see if, and it does take a little bit of delay. So I want you to think of when these hours, when it will come out of the GAE versus not come out of the GAE. If you have direct coaching hours left, then it won't come out. That's half the answer, yes. So if there are any pooled internal coaching hours remaining, it won't come out. So good job, Margaret. We got our first answer in. And we have another thing that has to happen in order for money to come out of the GAE for internal coaching. Okay, I don't see the answer yet, so I'm going to review that, and it's on this slide. Whoops, this slide. So here's the key, is under this total budget tracked by sugar, if it's marked as internal coaching from the operating budget, no money will come out of the GAE for internal coaching. So I'm going to go back. So under the budget summary tab, I'm scrolling down, and here's this important setting. So this one is saying that when that internal coaching hours pooled budget goes to 0, take money out of the GAE. The other setting is saying when it comes from, actually, yep, when this setting is on, it's saying do not take any money from the GAE for internal coaching. Okay, the external coaching, again, you need to verify your external coaching budget. We've done this a few times with everybody, but again, since this is so important in driving your own council budget, I just want to make sure everybody verifies this. So on the external coaching tab, verify the external coaching budget and the rate, and the formula automatically comes up with the hours. So but in this case, if the hours go to 0, then it pulls out of the GAE. Okay, so I'm going to go to the external coaching tab, and here is the budget that's entered in, and the projected external coaching hours is figured by dividing 90,000 by 100, and so there's 900 hours. In this case, there is about 15 hours left. So if they were to go over 15, then the money would start coming out of the GAE. Yes, there is a few sites, a few councils have a rate like at $25 per hour or $33 per hour for external coaching rates. The challenge is, and I'm going to go on to this slide, and I believe we talked to the sites that this really is going to impact, but if you're paying for your mileage and your coaching training out of, sort of your pooled funds, you have to be careful now because the pooled funds will sort of be swept away for each application. So, so the coaching rate that's over here, so let's say your actual rate is $25 for your external coach, but the total cost for mileage and for training and for other types of things is about, let's say, $15 per hour, and you can figure that out by taking your total costs, sort of divided by the number of hours that you do. Then your external coaching rate should be higher. And it hasn't really mattered as much up until now because, you've had this big pool that you can use, but now because of the GAE, and we need to use up all the GAE funds, then, the pooled money is going for new applications. So I know that impacts some of you, and that we have done some special things for some of you in order to move this, but if you think this is an issue, let's talk about this on next week's Sugar Call to make sure all those of you that have a low coaching rate, that we can make sure that we cover your expenses. Okay, thank you, Kelly. I'm glad you asked the question, and I'm glad you understand it. So I'm assuming that if you understand what I said, then others on the call. But there are 49 people, so make sure you put questions in if you don't understand what I'm saying. Okay. So when we went, you really should have seen this. It almost was like a party room yesterday. I've been camping out at OEC quite a bit, so we can try to work on this. And when Kelly did her first wait list and it was approved, it was so excited. I mean, we did high fives and all that kind of stuff. The next, when Monica did one, we did high fives. So it was so exciting to see when it says down in the message from Sugar, it says, hooray, it's been approved. But it really became a bummer when we started getting errors. So there was like a message, primary contact not uniquely found for this organization. And so that slowed down the process. Luckily, we had Bill on the call, and he did his magic, and we were able to fix a lot of the records. But the problem is we aren't going to have Bill sitting by all the QRS coordinators. And so I want you to be able to check this. I'm sorry for pausing. I saw the question from Stacy to sort of about the coaching rate. So essentially, let me go back to Stacy's question right after I finish this, because that's a really important question. And remind me if I go ahead to other common errors. Okay, so this primary contact not uniquely found for this organization will appear if, and I'm bringing this back, so I'm going into an application. Hopefully I can get. Okay, here's Bill's application. Okay, so you'll get the error message here that the primary contact isn't there. So I'm going to go back, primary contact not uniquely found for this organization. Okay, so what you do is you can click on the provider site right up here after the application if you're there, or you can go into the account. So I put Bill up in the filter. Okay, so what's happened in this record to create that error? Under key contacts, the primary contact is empty. And so this is one of those things that you'll need to check as a council, is whenever somebody applies, this should be populated, but sometimes it isn't. So you need to double check that. And you just, type in their name. So I'm going to make myself as the contact. I'll do Rick Test 2. And then when you save, the email should populate if everything is working properly. Because what really happens is the MOU looks at the primary contact email, and that's where they send it. And if that doesn't work, you'll have to put it in again and make sure your contact is correct. Sometimes contacts are duplicated, and so you'll see the person's name twice, and then so you'll probably need to send a ticket, or in order to talk to us if this primary contact isn't there. So the whole point of this part is that we don't want to slow down. So because now we have the OEC QRS coordinators approving the waitlisted applications, and if they get this message, it's going to just take a lot of time for them to contact you to contact the provider, and all that kind of stuff. So we don't want to slow things down. So that's one of the issues. Okay. Any questions on the primary contact? Okay. So Stacy's question for external coaching is, do you get the $50 an hour if what you put in, or the $100 an hour that's on the cheat sheet that Monica showed us? So I'm going to go back into the funding stream. So what Stacy's asking, let's say this rate is $50 an hour versus $100, because the cheat sheet essentially says that you get $100 an hour for coaching. So what is happening if your rate is not 50 is essentially that you get 1 hour goes at $50 an hour to the provider, and the other $50 is going into your pooled external coaching. So, so the first, let's say you got 5 hours, $250 would go into the requisition for the external coaching, and then $250 goes into your general pot. And it hasn't been a problem before because this just kept on growing and growing and growing, and then you can transfer hours, or you can send hours to other providers. You can move your money in order to, do mileage. But the problem is that because of the GAE and all the stuff that Bill had to program, as well as what we want to spend the GAE money as soon as we get it, is this money will go away as soon as you do your second application. So let's say you did one application and there was money left in, the second application would take money out of here first. Okay, so let me go into, Sharon is saying you might want to pull up the GAE resource guide. Okay, so I am going to go to the resource guide, and I'll show you again how to get there. So you go into the support site, and you scroll down on the right to your Friday support call. The latest Friday support call is at the top of the list. Okay, and then here is the Race to the Top GAE reference guide that Sharon's talking about. Okay, and then here are all the details. I want to do another shout out to Sharon. She sent this to me at midnight last night. So she's been working so hard on this. I really, really appreciate all of her work. But what's so cool about the work that she did is that, like, each one of these, the table of contents, it's a clickable table of contents. So Sharon, can you tell us which part of the guide that you wanted me to go to? I'll just click on the whichever link.
Yeah, can you scroll down in the table of contents a little bit? I think it's under pooled requisitions. Let's see. I think it's under GAE process for external coaching requisitions, page 7. A little down.
GAE process. This one.
I think it's this
okay.
one. Yep.
See the little finger, and then we can click on it, and it goes directly to that. So this is
so
really
if you scroll
cool.
Down, if you scroll down a little bit, there's the example. Do you want me to talk through this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so this example was given at the State TA Day meeting, and it's a little tricky, so we've included it here in this guide. But in this example, Sherman ECC has a $50 per hour coaching rate. Right now, we know that there are 12 councils that have external coaching rates less than $100 an hour, and most of those are $50 an hour, so this is a good example. A new 5-hour coaching requisition is approved by the QRIS coordinator and funded by the GAE at $500. So regardless of your rate, no matter if it's external or internal, you will always receive $100 per coaching hour from the GAE. The only exception to that is if your internal coaching was budgeted in your program operating budget, then you will not receive funds from the GAE. So that coaching budget setting is very important. If you need additional funds to support additional coaching hours, you just need to change that setting from coaching is in the program operating to need to request GAE funds. And if something happens after the fact, submit a support ticket and we can, correct that. So, so in this case, the GAE is giving the funding stream for that council $500. So what will happen is the face value of that requisition is only $250 because that's 5 hours times $50 an hour. The other $250 ends up in your pooled requisition. And as we know, the pooled requisition is where new applications are pulling from. So if you approve 2 applications right in a row that both have 5 hours, one will be paid for out of the GAE, and the second one will be paid for out of your pooled requisition without needing to get any additional GAE funds. So if you want to use that $250, before you request approval for another application, you want to either transfer the additional 5 hours to that provider's requisition from the pool, which will probably be the most common that we'll see, is that you actually want to give that provider 10 hours instead of 5 hours, and then that would equal the $500. You can transfer that additional 5 hours to other participating providers. So let's say you have another provider, they've already used up their RTT hours, but there's still really a need to prepare for maybe a rating or something like that. You can give those 5 hours to other participating providers. You can also now, this is new, convert coaching to QI dollars. There's a lot of information in this guide on how the conversion process works, but it just happens through requisition actions, just like everything else for requisitions. And so you can convert the $250 directly to QI dollars. Usually that would probably be for the site that you just approved, but if you'd like to, you can also give that to other participating sites. The last bullet is the most complicated, but is important for those who have external coaching rates that don't include things like mileage or coaching professional development or other indirect coaching expenses. So this is where you would actually need to submit a support ticket to move those funds into the expenses tracked outside of sugar. And we've already talked, by we I mean the QRIS coordinators and Rick have already talked to most everyone that this impacts, and the recommendation is that you go ahead and put what you need through the end of the year into the expenses tracked outside of sugar budget field, and then you don't have to do this on a case-by-case basis. But that can be discussed on an individual basis. This is mostly going to be for people who have a coaching rate that's less than $100 an hour, which is only 12 councils, and of those, some of those councils don't need to do this. So just let us know if you have any questions about that. And then the big warning here that Rick has already talked about is that if you don't take any action, which is completely fine, you don't need to take any action, that $250 that's left over from the first application will be used for the next application that you approve. So just, want you to be aware of that. Are there any questions about this specifically? Because this is pretty important topic. Okay. Let's see. Oh, it looks like, oh no, I think we're good. So Rick, if you want, you could pull up Stacy's funding stream record and you could show how, she has a special allocation amount and she has some funding available in the pool, and we can kind of show that.
Stacy, can I get your permission to pull up your funding stream?
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Stacy. Sorry about that.
Yeah, thanks. Okay. And while this is coming up, Stacy's been a tremendous help too, as well as the Sugar Advisory Group. So thank you all. So you can see on Stacy's that she has an external coaching rate of 50. And right now her remaining balance is $859. So that's about 17 hours or something like that. But if she goes over those hours, then this money goes to zero, and then it starts pulling out of the GAE. What Sharon was just saying, though, that is, let's say she has 5 hours, then $250 goes to the provider, and then $250 goes into the pot. If she doesn't do anything, the next time that the next application is approved, it will take out of this pot. So that's new for, and especially for those of you that have external coaching rates less than $100, we want to make sure that we cover your mileage and other types of expenses. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to myself, and we'll work out if you didn't understand all the points, or and some of the points too is you're going to need help because the budget is locked down. Are there any other questions?
And it looks like Stacy is saying that's her mileage money, and so then in that case, that amount would be moved over to the other, in the budget summary tab. Rick, if you want to click on budget summary. There is a field for other direct expenses tracked outside of sugar. So we'd want to be sure that the mileage is included in that amount. And we can work individually with councils to verify that that is appropriately included in that amount. But basically, sugar is saying, like, this is how much is tracked inside of sugar, this is how much is tracked outside of sugar, and if it's outside of sugar, then that could include things like mileage as needed. Another question is, does the external coaching issue with the pool apply to internal coaching as well? And the answer to that is no. The reason why is that internal coaching is tracked in hours only. And so because it's tracked in hours, what the GAE will do, if you need additional hours, it will stamp in an additional 5 hours, and then it will take that 5 hours and assign it to the requisition, so it will not increase your pool. It is important if you're trying to convert internal coaching to QI dollars, you do need to have an internal coaching budget entered so that you have a projected internal coaching rate that can be used for conversions. If you don't want to convert internal coaching to QI dollars, you do not need to enter an internal coaching budget. So hopefully that answers that question. But internal coaching will not have the same pool effect that external coaching does.
Okay, thank you, Sharon. Okay, so there was a question that actually came up. The default on the program is internal coaching, whereas a lot of you only have external coaching. So one of the things that you need to do on the requisition, and I'm going to bring up Bill's requisition or Bill's application and then show you where the so well, that's okay. Okay, so here is the application, and right now this is on the wait list, and you can see that it's internal coaching of 7.5 hours. If you need to change this while this is in preliminary status, you click on the requisition or go to the requisitions through this menu, and on the right now you can see it's internal coaching, both through the assignment type as well as the name of the requisition. So you click on applications and switch between internal and external coaching types. So again, you need to do this early on in the process. If you do it after it's been approved, then you'll need to submit a ticket to us, and so we can help you switch the internal or external coaching types. But we're in an early enough process that you switch, you click again, you're in the requisition, you go to actions, and then switch between internal and external coaching types. And then I'm going to click save. And ta-da! This says now, instead of internal coaching, it says external. There's success. The assignment type has changed to external, and all the information is populated correctly. So this is really cool that you can do that. The problem is that a lot of people forget to do that, and then if you were to go approve and you don't have money in your external, then the coordinators can't really do anything. They'll have to contact you, and then you'll have to contact me and all that kind of stuff. So if you do this early on, switch between external and internal. So that's on the requisition. It's under actions, switch between internal and external. Okay, there's a lot of notes. Okay, and I'm not sure. Okay, Sharon is saying there's some notes we'll go through at the end. I know we're getting close to the end, so I'll scroll through at the end. So make sure to do the switch before you waitlist the application. Yeah, it's going to be a lot better for. Otherwise, it's going to take a lot more time. So yes, we just happened to be on waitlist, but we were able to catch this before. Otherwise, the coordinators will try to approve, and then we'll get in all sorts of delays. Okay, another common error that we've seen is the number of classrooms. Sometimes when the providers are putting in their information, they think that the classrooms, what context is a classroom really isn't. And so the people familiar with the program should be checking the records as well. So you go into their account, and you can click on it from a requisition or from an application, or you can use accounts, but I'll go into Bill's Child Care Test. Okay. And then if you look at the tabs, licensing has their license number, and then let's see, where's that? Here's the classroom. It's on the profile tab, so you can check the number of preschool classrooms, infant classrooms, etc. So you can verify that these classrooms are right. This is important because that's how the $600, $900, or whatever is allocated. So this is before you, again, before you do the wait list, that you make sure that the dollars assigned to the requisition and the hours assigned to the requisition are correct. And that if they aren't, that may be one of the reasons is that the classrooms aren't correct, or the rating isn't correct as well. So those are the two drivers, is the Colorado Shines rating level or the classrooms. Okay, another error that you need to make sure is that the proper coach is assigned to the coaching requisition. Okay, so I'm on the account, so I can go down to the application this way, but there's going to be a lot of stuff here. Okay, so I'm in the requisition, and we'll go to the external coaching requisition. Okay, so the assigned to is where you put your coach's name in here. So make sure you just go in there and assign the right coach to the requisition for this provider. Okay, I know we're hitting the 10:30 mark. Sharon, I'm going to ask you if you have any other key points. I'm going to just do a high level, but any other key points you think that before we go away. I'm going to talk just a high level of the demo. I'm not going to actually do a demo. I'll just talk through this, and then the invoice instructions. But if there's any other details.
Yeah, so I think Monica chatted in earlier that we should have a part 2 to this call that actually goes over the Race to the Top quality improvement invoice template. This invoice template is the same one that has been used since around September, but the instructions have been slightly updated just to include some of the new reports and things that are available. So what I think we might recommend is that OEC is going to send out officially the new invoice template, the cheat sheet, and the GAE resource guide in an email later today. So if you could take some time and review that before our next call, which could either be next Friday or we could try and schedule something a little sooner. And then, you know, when we get on the call, I think that's where we should actually demo a real application that has come in and needs to be submitted to the wait list and then approved by an OEC coordinator, and we can really see the process work for everyone, both for internal coaching and for external coaching. I think that would be important for everyone to see. And so if everyone could just kind of review that, knowing that all of the waitlisted applications have been approved now, so all MOUs have been sent out. There could be some that were still in process or submitted and hadn't been waitlisted, so you can review your in-process and submitted applications for Race to the Top, and please start moving those to waitlisted or rejected if that's necessary, so that those, you know, we can really start seeing this process work. But other than that, I think the most important thing right now is just communicating with providers that those funds and coaching hours are available. They do need to be spent down rather quickly, generally 30 to 60 days from the MOU execution, and we are approaching the end of the fiscal year very quickly. So we can kind of go from there and do another demo. One quick note, too, that we noticed, we, of course, approved around $150,000 of applications yesterday. And so, you know, Sugar is a website, and so sometimes the cache kind of saves old information. So we would recommend that everybody, before kind of reviewing your funding stream records and looking through things, go ahead and do a clear cache. And maybe, Rick, you could show that real quick. Clear your cache in your Google Chrome browser so that you know you're looking at the best information. And we're also considering potentially doing a clear cache for Sugar itself so that we know that all the numbers that are coming through are really accurate on the face. And that just happens sometimes with websites when you make a lot of changes very quickly. So I just wanted to give everyone that heads up. If you notice anything that looks differently than you expect, please communicate with us so that we can work to make sure that everything is correct and accurate, especially as we think about drawing down from the GAE. So anything else you want me to cover, Rick?
No, actually on the, if you go into the ... and then settings, and then just type cache up here, it tells you how to clear the cache. So we can cover that later, but I want to honor people's time too. I'd like to ask Monica, Kelly, Karen, if they have any last minute things. I know there's a whole bunch of questions that I wasn't able to get to. So if you have individual questions, please submit a ticket and I'll be working on all these questions. There were some specific issues that happened with the wait list yesterday that will need to be corrected, so we'll work on it. And I'll share the questions with with Bill and Sharon so we can work through these questions that we can today. But please submit a ticket. But Monica, Kelly, Michelle, Karen, do you have any closing remarks?
Just thank you for everyone's time, and please don't hesitate to call or email us if you have any questions. If we're not the right person, we will create an ECLA ticket if it's a Sugar issue, and I think Rick will do the same with us. So thank you, guys.
So the call has officially ended. I'm going to remain on. If you've typed a question, I can't read through them all right now, so I'm going to see if there's anything immediate that I can answer. I know I was going to be talking to an individual counsel after this, but thank you all for coming, and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
Rick?
Yes. Thank you.